Welcome back to another video. In this video we're going to be looking at the Dacia Jogger in the hybrid version, so the 140 version. This is right here in the Extreme Edition with a 7-seater. If you are looking to get the Jogger just without a hybrid, you're going to be spending 16,100 euros or 900 euros? 16,900 euros. This right here is the Extreme version with a 7-seater, so it's going to cost you, it's going to start at 26,100 euros. And if you want to get the 5-seater version of the hybrid, so the cheapest one with the expression package, you're going to be spending 24,100 euros. So that's what it starts at. So let's first of all start off with the design on the front. We do again have the new Dacia logo, which is not that new, but it's still fairly new. The color, we have a choice of 6 different ones, plus the normal one that you have in white, which has no extra cost. This one here is a 250 euro extra, which is the slate gray color, which does look pretty nice on the car. I love it with the black touches. Looks really good. We do have LED standard for your light, but your high beams are going to be halogen, just like in every other Dacia. So even if you get the highest option, you're always going to have high beams in halogen, which I'm not the biggest fan of. But I do like the design in here. It just looks very sporty and very nice from the front, in my opinion. And then further down we do have some honeycomb design in here with some more sensors in the front, which are an extra cost if you do get the extra front and back park assist. So that's another 250 euros extra, even with the Extreme package. Let's move on over to the side, where we can see we have our 16-inch standard wheels. You do get the black ones standard. You could optionally also get silver ones for an extra cost of 200 euros. I like the black ones. I don't know if you'd personally go for silver ones on this, because I think it looks perfect with the gray and black touches. We do also have the black trims on the side, as well on the side skirts all the way down there, as you can see. We do have the Extreme Limited Edition. I don't know why it's called Limited Edition, because, well, it's not limited in my opinion, but if you know that answer to that question, let me know down in the comments below. We do have side mirrors in black as well, so they're not automatically foldable, but you can adjust them automatically or electrically. Again, we have a roof capacity, just like in any other Dacia, of 80 kilograms on the top, so you could put a good load up there. We do have this, you can see the B-pillar goes up a little bit far, and one thing I'm not the biggest fan of, when you open it, you can see right here, you do have this lip down here. Not many cars actually have that, and it goes into the B-pillar. I'm not the biggest fan of that design, but it's just a small thing. If you get the 7-seater, you can see you can have popped out windows in the back. If you have the 5-seater, you don't have that, just for the back people. We do also have tinted rear windows. We have a capacity of 50 liters, just like in any other Dacia. It's going to be able to, or WLTP says, because it's a hybrid, 4.8. We're currently at around 5.8, but we'll look at that a little bit once we're actually driving. So if you go 4.8, you would be able to get over the 1,000 kilometer range, so that is a fairly good margin for that. The car is also based on the CMF-B platform, which is the same as the Renault Clio and the Dacia Sandero and Sandero Stepway. So it's meant for fairly small cars, but a 7-seater on here seems to work, in my opinion. The car is also 4 meters and 55 long, so a fairly long car, because obviously we do have the 7-seater, so around 20 centimeters longer than the Dacia Duster. On the back we have a fairly decent sized window, but in the back it reminds me of a Volvo, which is a good thing, because Volvo are known for being a pretty expensive and luxurious cars. And these lights just completely remind me of a Volvo, which is not a bad thing at all. Again, Dacia logo on the back, tinted out rear windows, and Jogger hybrid. Other than that, not much to say about that. And we do also have the shark fin with the Extreme Edition up here. Let's open the boot, where we have, because we have the 7-seater, we have 160 liters up to 1,819 liters if you fold them over. What we're actually going to do is flip those seats over, just so you can see how it looks like when we're with 7 seats. We're going to do that once we're in the front. But in here you do have this lip, you could take it out, so you do have a fairly flat out space, and if you flip them over you have plenty of space. So anything you want to load, you can definitely do a big haul in here, so you have plenty of room in here. Okay, here's a little tutorial on how you can actually make it a 7-seater. It does take a good amount of time, so let me do it in a quick motion. So you can see now, once we have them folded over, you can definitely see you do not have much room in here. 160 liters, so you cannot put much in there, maybe a couple of cans or stuff like that, but not much room at all. And actually this needs to go somewhere. So now you have basically no room at all. If you do want a bigger loading space, you can obviously take out the back 2 seats as well. We've already taken out one, but all you have to do is basically flip down this red lever down here on both sides, and then you can just easily flip it out and take it out. Oh, there we go. They are fairly heavy, so it's a good lifting job. But there you go. You can see you have a lot of space now. that you can load anything into, and you can flip over the front seats as well, just so you have a very big loading space. So to get into the back, it's actually fairly simple. You just have to pull the lever up on the top so you can flip over the seats. And then you might think, oh, okay, that's a little bit uncomfortable to get in, but you can actually also fold this over, and then you can have an easy way to get into the back. So you can just hold it up, and then you can basically go in here. Very simple and easy. You can obviously not leave that up while you're driving, because if you accelerate a little bit, it's just going to fall automatically down, because it doesn't lock into anything right there. Well, the legroom here is actually very good. I was expecting a lot less, but I have a lot of knee room. I mean, you are obviously sitting a little bit higher up with your feet, because there's not as much room as in the front, because it's lifted up a little bit higher. But I actually imagine that it would be a lot more uncomfortable, but I could probably sit in here for a decent amount. You have a lot of room on the side. You even have a cup holder. You do have the windows, so you can open them up, but not too far, but you get a little bit amount of fresh air in there. You have a light. You even have a 12-volt cable in there, or a charger in there. So this is actually fairly comfortable. I'm actually surprised by that. And you have enough room for both people. This is actually very nice. Very nice. Let's quickly take a look at the engine. As you can see, it's definitely more quality than the Golf R Performance, because we have a cover on here. That's amazing. We do have an inline 4-cylinder, which is a 1.6 liter engine, which produces 94 horsepower, with the combination of the 2 electric motors on here. So you have a 49 motor, and you also have a 49 horsepower motor, and a 20 horsepower motor, which is the kind of start generator, and it works in order to get a smooth transmission between the normal motor and also the electric motor. So a total of 140 horsepower and 205 Newton meters. If you opt for the smallest engine, which would be the gas version and the combined version of the gas and the normal engine, you'd be at 100 horsepower with a 1 liter engine, and also you could get a 1 liter with 110 horsepower, which is the non-gas version, so that's the smallest you can get. You do have a towing capacity with the hybrid of 750 horsepower kilograms, and if you get the non-hybrid version, you can tow up to 1.2 tons, which is fairly decent. The seats in the Jogger actually feel like you're sitting in an armchair, like a very comfortable armchair, so you're very relaxed in here, which is very nice, and I personally like the seats. They're very nice. Again, you have the fabric in here, so it's not like leather seats. So they do feel pretty cool with white and red stitching, which is pretty cool. One thing I have noticed down here is this little button, which I don't even know what this is for. Like if you're trying to hang like a coat or something, it's just going to be completely on the ground. So I don't know what this is for. If you know, let me know. Further on, we do again have this fabric up here, so a pretty cool thing, not plastic, but more of a fabric. Plastic up here, but good plastic. And then down here as well. Fairly good quality. You do have the automatic climate control, which you could get extra. You also have heated seats in there with physical buttons, which I like. And the climate control, very, very nice. You do have a good amount of storage space in here with the USB-C and a 12-volt cable in there. Navigation display works very good. We'll look at that a little bit more once we're driving. And then again, climate control stuff in here. And they feel pretty good. Automatic gearbox, like I said. We do not have a handbrake, but we have a parking brake, which is an electric parking brake. And a little bit of storage space in here, but not much. More of an armchair. The steering wheel, again, just like in any other Dacia, you don't have many buttons on here. You do have a speedometer, a speed limiter, and cruise control. Other than that, personally still not a big fan of this thing where you can change the songs and make it louder and quieter, but you could theoretically do it up here as well. And if you do want to do Apple CarPlay, there is a USB up here which you can use to connect to your phone. That's why you also have this polster up here, or this holder up there, which is good. You also have, like I said, you have your controls for all the windows in the front, back, and wherever you want. And also your automatically adjustable side mirrors, which is good. And again, a fairly decent space on here with a nice little fabric on there. And generally, I do like the interior of the Dacia. It's just simple and, or of any Dacia, it's just simple and fairly good. It's everything that you need. So let's take a quick look at the back seats. You do sit up fairly high in my opinion, so your legs are pretty comfortably on here, but you have a good amount of leg room on the bottom and lots of space. Headroom as well, plenty of head space, even if you're a little bit taller than me. We do have this little table in here, which is pretty cool, so you can even do some laptop typing in here, even though the table is a little bit small for that. But you can just have some dinner on there, so a five-star menu, something like that would be very nice. We do have the middle seat where, if you sit on it, the space is fairly decent, not that great, but one thing that you have is the seat belt is all the way on the back. The seat belt actually goes pretty far against your neck, so after a time it's probably gonna hurt because it also rubs against the neck, so it's not the nicest thing. I'd rather sit in the back than in there, to be fair. So the back two seats are gonna be a little bit more comfortable than the middle seat. You do even have isofix points, which are fairly decent to get to, so you do have to lift up the seat a little bit. In the middle console, you also don't have any climate control or anything else like a USB-C. You only have a 12-volt port in there, so you could theoretically charge something through there. So let's take a car for a test spin. Obviously, once we do turn back, you can see we do have one extra in here, which is the rear view camera, which is not extra if you get the Extreme Edition. But if you do want to also be a little bit more safer, you can also here, let's go a little bit closer. Maybe not. We do also have side assist, not side assist, front and back assist, so it does peep, and that's another extra that you have to buy, which comes with the blind spot assistance, which is a very good thing in my opinion. I always like to have the blind spot assistance because sometimes you can miss somebody, and if it just shows up, it's very nice. We do also have a digital cluster display or digital cockpit. You can't change much on here. You do have a couple of buttons on here, but the only thing you can really change is up on the top, where you can change. Okay, I think I broke it again. No, there we go. Okay, I guess you can change it to basically not showing you anything. But you can see our fuel consumption last, well, on the long term, which is 5.8 liters. It did say 4.8, I think it was, right? 4.8 with the consumption, the WLTP, that's what it's claimed. We've not been driving very sporty or anything like that, so it's, I'd say real consumption is around 5.6, 5.8. That's what you are expecting. So you're not going to get around that 1,000 kilometer range, just like they claim with the WLTP. But I think that's still a very decent range. We do have 750 kilometers left of range, and you can see that, well, it shows you also the active amount of fuel that you're using. So right now around 3.4, always depending on how much power you obviously put in. So once we're going into the city here, that's where usually the EV mode is going to kick in a little bit. It's going to support you. You can see right now we're completely in electric mode. One thing it always does, you can see on the left side, the battery is around a little bit less than halfway now, so it's going to probably kick in the motor here and at some point. And when it does that, that's one thing I'm not a big fan of, is usually it kicks in because it's trying to keep the 50% battery, and then it just kicks in the motor at a really high momentum, so at around, I don't know, like 5,000 RPMs or something like that, and then that fuel usage is going to go up to like 17 liters. I feel that's a little bit counterintuitive because it's just going to make that fuel consumption go way up high, even though you're trying to be low, because it's just trying to keep that battery at around 50%. You can see right now it's kicking in because we do have the battery being below 50%. And then once we're back on the road, you can definitely hear tire noise, not much. The overall cabin noise is not that much. It's a pretty well insulated car, which I like, and at a price point at this, you'd maybe expect a little less isolation, but I think it's fairly decent and it's actually pretty comfortable. You can have a good conversation here even if you're going at higher speeds. And like I did say in the interior, we do also have the cruise control and also the speed limiter. I personally don't use a speed limiter, so cruise control is very nice. It's not an adaptive cruise control or anything like that. And like I said, one thing I'm not a big fan of is that you do have halogen light high beams, so at night they're not the greatest, and just put some LEDs in there would be very nice. The infotainment display is also, it's basically the basic or the most basic thing that you can have. If you go into the navigation, it's fairly quick, but that's due to the fact that there's basically nothing on it. So it is just, I said quick. If you go out too far, it's obviously not going to be the quickest. But it's not that detailed and not that interesting, but it's the basic stuff, and I think it works very well. You have your media, you also have Apple CarPlay if you connect it via the USB up here, so you can just put your phone right there and you can have Apple CarPlay. One thing I did forget to mention is your surrounding view is very good considering how big the car is, 4.55 meters. You can see fairly good out of the back because the car is obviously, or it has a big rear window. And when you're looking out the back, I don't know if you can see it right now, but it just feels like it goes on for infinity because the car is 4.55 meters long. It looks very big when looking out the back, but it doesn't feel that big. You obviously have the sensors, so it's easier to drive in town. But it really doesn't feel like 4.55 meters. So what's my final verdict on the Dacia Jogger? Well, there's a lot of things that you need to take into perspective when deciding on getting a Jogger. Well, first of all, there's basically no competition for this. This car starts at 16,900 euros if you get the non-hybrid version, which is just insane. There's nothing on the market, in my opinion, which gets you a 7-seater with so much space and basically everything that you need. But you need to decide, do you want a 5-seater? Do you want a 7-seater? Do you want more storage in the back? Do you want a hybrid version or not? Because a hybrid version is going to cost you around the 24,000 mark. So is that money worth it to you to get the hybrid version? But that's basically it. I think it's a pretty decent car. Well, it's a really good car. I was surprised by the room in the back and just the quality in general. So if you do like the video, make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.